How's it going, everybody? I'm Stella Chung, and this is the Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you may have missed this week. The KOTOR Remake is in trouble, and we've got all the details on how Sony seemingly pulled an Order 66 on all official posts and trailers mentioning the game. But before that, we get into how Lies of P may be a little easier for some, and how The Last of Us 2's multiplayer is also in trouble. We're also taking a look at the newest Devil May Cry anime, a possible Spawn reboot, and a whole lot more. Let's get to it. Okay, we can talk Lies of P in just a second, but first, a fun little tidbit of news. Every year, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary adds new words to the dictionary, and this year's 690 new definitions include a bunch of gaming terms, including cutscene, non-player character, microtransaction, power-up, open world, nerf, rage quit, and boss. I don't know how boss wasn't already in there, but I guess 192-year-old literary institutions aren't really known for being hip on their gamer lingo. If you're also out of the loop on gaming terminology, you might need a dictionary for this next story. If you rage quit Lies of P, great news, they're nerfing some of the bosses. Posted on Steam, the patch notes for update version 1.2 contains a list of changes including decreased HP for the bosses Fallen Archbishop Andreas, King of Puppets' first phase, and Simon Manus. Certain field monsters are getting less hit points along with an increased change of stagger. Drop rates for star fragments have been decreased, but you'll find more ergo items and get higher ergo rewards for certain monsters after Lorenzini Arcade. Your Spectre will also have increased HP and damage. That's the AI-controlled NPC ally who can be summoned before most boss fights. So, if you're stuck on a boss who hasn't yet been patched, that could also help. There are also a bunch of tweaks to amulet weight, gold coin fruit harvest, and of course, your P organ. If that was a complete word salad, I'm really sorry, but TLDR, this hard-as-hell Soulsborne is now incrementally easier in certain areas. Souls fans are typically pretty happy when these games are really hard, but in this case, the subtle changes seem to be mostly welcome. For anybody annoyed that the game is easier, I really don't know what to tell you. Currently, this patch is only for PC, but it's presumably coming to consoles soon after. One PC-specific update is official support for the PlayStation DualShock 4 and DualSense controllers. IGN's reviewer gave Lies of P a 9 out of 10, and it's basically the next best thing to a Bloodborne 2. If you're curious, there's a free demo out on all platforms, and it's also on Xbox Game Pass. Since we're on the subject of some gamers getting things and some not, Horizon Forbidden West is getting a complete edition for PS5 that includes all the DLC. The catch is that PS5 players get it very soon on October 6th, while PC players need to wait until sometime early next year. The complete edition will cost $69.99 and will come with the Burning Shores DLC, a digital soundtrack, digital art book, and Horizon Zero Dawn Volume 1, the Sunhawk digital comic book. In-game items you'll get are extra poses and face paint in the photo mode, new outfits, new weapons, the Apex Claw Strider Machine Strike piece, and resources pack. We really dug Horizon Forbidden West, giving it a 9 out of 10, while the DLC also got an 8 out of 10. This seems like a really good deal if you haven't yet picked up the game. And finally, Remedy Entertainment has confirmed that Alan Wake 2 is getting a performance mode on PS5 and Xbox Series X. Sorry, Series S owners, looks like you're the ones being left out on this one. But I'm kind of noticing a trend with these stories today. It's like developing for multiple platforms is hard or something. The news comes straight from Remedy themselves via communications director Thomas Puha. On X, Puha posted the game is getting a performance mode, but quote, the game has been built from the beginning as a 30 FPS experience focusing on visuals and ambiance, but somehow we managed to include a solid performance mode. We'll talk details later. When asked if the performance mode is an unlocked 60 FPS or locked at 60, Puha responded that Remedy is, quote, still tweaking that. Puha also mentioned the challenges with the game's performance, specifically with the Pacific Northwest setting. He said, quote, the Pacific Northwest has a lot of foliage, trees, transparent objects, expensive lighting, amongst many other features that make it really challenging on the frame rate. Alan Wake 2 is out on October 27th, really soon, and it's also our IGN First Game of the Month, so check out our extensive coverage of the game on IGN.com and YouTube. And those are your gaming stories for Wednesday, September 27th. If given the option, do you play games in quality mode or performance mode? Let me know in the comments, and if you're looking for something else to watch, check out 2 special features from IGN's State of Streaming Week. One is the top 100 TV shows of all time. See where your favorites landed in the list. And we've also got a video on the cartoon that saved Star Trek. IGN's State of Streaming event lasts all week. Fans noticed that trailers for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Remake and other promotional material were pulled from the internet. Ex-user @Crusader3456 posted that the 2021 PlayStation Showcase trailer for the KOTOR Remake was set to private, and that all social posts from Sony were gone. Crusader pointed out that if you search Knights of the Old Republic twitter.com/PlayStation, the link will show as cached, but when you click on the post, it will say deleted. IGN's Wesley Yin-Poole reported on the statement in response to this removal of content, saying it has to do with music licensing. A Sony spokesperson told IGN, as part of normal business, we delist assets with licensed music when the licenses expire. This is the first time I've heard of this happening, and tons of other trailers use licensed music. It seems like this is either an easily preventable screw-up, since it'd be short-sighted to have marketing materials, music expire before the thing they're advertising even releases, or the release of this game is not quite a sure thing. Last year, there were reports that development of the remake was paused indefinitely after a demo from Aspyr didn't impress Lucasfilm and Sony. This was after 3 years of Aspyr working on the game before it was announced at Sony's PlayStation Showcase in 2021. The remake is supposed to be a PC and PlayStation 5 console exclusive set to release in 2022, which obviously we missed that window. Insiders said 2025 was a more realistic one, but there have been a lot of changes since then. The remake's art director Brad Prince and design director Jason Miner left the project. Then, the KOTOR remake allegedly switched studios from Aspyr to Saber Interactive, the team behind World War Z and Space Marine 2. Both of these dev teams are owned by Embracer, which has been closing studios and canceling games left and right this year. IGN reached out to Embracer for comment, but haven't heard anything back. I just recently played KOTOR for the first time, and let me tell you, I loved it, and I would really like to see this remade into modern-day graphics. I mean, imagine going onto Manan and seeing this gorgeous planet with ray tracing. I don't want to dream too much, but I really need this project to stay alive. Okay, but let's talk about a game that's definitely coming out very soon that you're probably excited about. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 hits PS5 October 20th, and spoilers are already starting to leak on the internet. We're not going to be spoiling anything, so don't worry. But just so you're aware and know what to look out for, IGN's Wesley Yin-Poole reported that True Trophies listed all of the trophies available in the game. These are potentially spoilers since the title of trophies could give away some major plot points. Insomniac did officially post on X a partial list of trophies, which is probably a safe post to look at for sneak peeks at achievements. But also on X are leaks of people posting the Spider-Man 2 start screen. That may not seem like a spoiler to most people, but if you want to go completely fresh into a game, I can see why this would be disappointing. Also, it seems like the starting screen actually changes depending on where you are in the story. So someone further along sharing a screen capture could actually spoil something. So make sure you're staying off social media and maybe block keywords for Spider-Man 2 if you're trying to go in completely cold. Speaking of things you might want to avoid looking at, especially when cold, there's a new bug in Baldur's Gate 3 that spawns in naked men into your world. Slight spoilers if you've not gone into your dream world yet, but if you did, you'll know exactly what I mean. When the player character goes to sleep, sometimes you enter a dream world to talk to your guardian, the second character you could create at the beginning of the game. During one of these scenes that bugs out, 6 very naked men stand over you while you're sleeping. Listen, Edward Cullen doing that in Twilight while clothed was bad enough. This is just redongulous. So the interesting thing is that these naked men show up by accident sometimes when you're in character creation. Also, randomly, players can get spawned into a space where these naked men just stand about. This was fondly dubbed the realm of naked men that Larian actually ended up embracing. Larian also actually had a really funny answer to why this realm exists. Primarily, they are used as VO dummies. When you select your voice in the character creator, it needs to be assigned to a physical dummy character in order to play. So one of these random naked dudes will pipe up from the shadows playing samples of your chosen voice. The other use is to have a physical avatar assigned to the player in the background, while the player creates their own tab, which is the custom player character. Okay, so if I was one of those guys and realized that that was my reason for existence, I don't think I could bear it. On a related note, if you're curious about some of the other not safe for work moments in Baldur's Gate that are actually supposed to happen, IGN's guide team has put together a 2-hour and 7-minute long uncensored compilation of romance scenes, which, by the way, they get very spicy. If you prefer a little bit left to the imagination, there's also a significantly shorter safe for work version, though honestly, I have to wonder what kind of a job wouldn't raise an eyebrow at someone watching an hour and a half of scantily clad wizards kissing.
Remember that Last of Us multiplayer game that Naughty Dog has been working on for about forever right now? Well, you probably need a refresher because in all its years of development, they've shown 2 pieces of concept art from it. That's all we've seen. We don't even know what the game is supposed to be like, let alone a title. And there's a chance we may never know because the game has now been put, quote, on ice. Unfortunately, Naughty Dog has suffered a round of layoffs that has seen, according to Kotaku, at least 25 developers cut, most of them contractors with the quality assurance team. This has also placed the Last of Us multiplayer game in development limbo, but quote, not completely canceled. This seems to line up with a report earlier this year from Bloomberg where the quote, quality and long-term viability of the game has come into question. Naughty Dog has admitted the game needs more time, but the company is reevaluating the game's direction in general. However, in that same report, Naughty Dog did also confirm that they're working on a, quote, brand new single-player experience. Doesn't bode super well for the multiplayer game, since that kind of looks like they're drawing resources from that game and allocating them elsewhere. But in general, to have this much bad news and only 2 pieces of concept art to go on seems a little bit nebulous. Naughty Dog's last release was the remake of The Last of Us Part 1. There's no official word yet on a Part 3, but the live-action adaptation on HBO is definitely getting a Season 2, which we assume will adapt the second game in the series. So if you're looking for your Last of Us fix, television might be your only choice right now. Staying with Sony-related news for this next story, Adidas has partnered with Sony and Insomniac Games to release a new line of Spider-Man-themed sneakers and athletic wear just in time for Spider-Man 2's launch later this month. Officially called the, and let me take a breath here, Peter Parker Advanced Suit and Venom-inspired shoe collection. The first sneaker they've shown is the classic Spider-Man red, white, and blue colorway, but with black soles reaching up into the rest of the shoe. Described by Adidas as, quote, the moment Peter Parker's advanced suit is overtaken by the Venom symbiote, though it could also kind of look like Spidey just stepped really hard in roofing tar. Still, it works. The rest of the collection will supposedly include Ultra Boost J and Adizero 12.0 football cleat, along with some sweatshirts and compression tights, but as of right now, we don't have any JPEGs of those to go on. Not even concept art, imagine that. If you want to cop a pair of these sneakers before the public does, check your email for an invite from Sony. Select PlayStation Plus members will get instructions on how to join Addy Club, which will give them a chance of grabbing a pair early, or you can take your chances and line up outside your favorite shoe store on October 20th and hope that you can grab a pair before they wound up getting scooped up by scalpers and resold for an obscene markup. If that sounds like a pain, you can also just spend October 20th playing Spider-Man 2 when it drops that same day on PS5. If you're an Xbox owner looking for something to play this month, you are in luck as well. Microsoft has revealed the first wave of games coming to Game Pass this month, October 2023, if you haven't been keeping track. The 2 big games we already knew about that are coming are Gotham Knights and the Lamplighters League, both of which are available today. Gotham Knights is, of course, the multiplayer co-op action game starring Batman's friends and family, but not Batman himself. We gave it a 5 out of 10, though it has had a fair amount of post-launch updates since then. The Lamplighters League, meanwhile, is a pulpy 1930s-themed tactical strategy game from the developers of the Shadowrun series that we enjoyed enough to give it a 7 out of 10, which, friendly reminder, means it's good, and if you're an XCOM fan, it definitely might be worth a closer look. Tomorrow, October 4th, Game Pass subscribers get Warhammer 40k Darktide, the long-awaited 4-player co-op shooter from the folks behind Vermintide, set in that futuristic, grimdark side of Warhammer. Next week sees the latest Forza Motorsport title, creatively titled Forza Motorsport, which arrives on October 10th, and then there's a co-op action game From Space on October 12th, and of course the samurai-centric Yakuza spin-off Like a Dragon Ishin on October 17th. Again, these are just part of Wave 1, so expect more titles to arrive and leave Game Pass throughout the rest of the month.
It's just about time for a break, but when we come back, we're taking a look at how Netflix's Devil May Cry may tie into Netflix's Castlevania. Just in time for another password crackdown. Stay tuned. And we're back. GTA Online fans have come up with some wacky conspiracies about the game that still somehow manages to print money every day. This time, it involves the moon and GTA 6. But before we get to that, we break down how Netflix's Castlevania and Devil May Cry might connect and everything we know about a possible Spawn reboot. All right, let's get to the video.
Coming to us from Capcom and the genius that is Adi Shankar, Netflix delivered us our first look at the upcoming Devil May Cry anime series. Now, the trailer didn't show much, but we do see our main hero from the games, Dante. Now, the logline for the upcoming anime reads, Quote, "Sinister forces are at play to open the portal between the human and demon realms. In the middle of it all is Dante, an orphaned demon hunter for hire, unaware that the fate of both worlds hangs around his neck." Now, fans are likely curious to know where within the timeline of the video game franchise the anime will take place. Like, will it start at the very beginning of Dante's exploits witnessed in the 2001 video game, or pick up just after the events seen in Devil May Cry 5? And how much involvement will the video game director Hideaki Itsuno have in the making of the Netflix series? Unfortunately, Adi Shankar and writer Alex Larson are longtime fans of the Capcom series. Now, in a statement, Shankar said, quote, "I'm honored that Netflix and Capcom have entrusted me to shepherd the Devil May Cry franchise. Alex Larson and I love these characters. We are part of the fandom and vow to surpass the exceptionally high bar we set for ourselves." Now, Adi's no stranger to successfully translating a video game to anime, as we've seen him do with Netflix's Castlevania anime series. Now, we also have Castlevania Nocturne coming to us from Shankar. Now, you may remember a few years back, Adi broke the news to us here at IGN that he acquired the rights to Devil May Cry, and that he's actually working on building a connected universe between both the Castlevania and Devil May Cry franchises.
I've acquired these rights myself so that the jabronis in Hollywood can't this one up too. Devil May Cry will join Castlevania in what we're now calling the bootleg multiverse.
Now, they'll both be part of what he's dubbed the bootleg multiverse, which means one day we may see half-demon Dante fighting alongside Alucard or the Belmont family. I think fans of both franchises would really love that. Now, Shankar is no stranger to creating shared universes, as we've seen him do so with a series of unlicensed short films. Now, 2012's Punisher Dirty Laundry, 2013's Venom Truth in Journalism, 2015's Power Rangers, and James Bond in Service of Nothing. Now, with each of those shorts, Adi elevated the presentation by getting Hollywood actors attached to each project, some even reprising their roles, such as Thomas Jane returning to play the Punisher in Adi's Dirty Laundry short after we first saw him take on the vigilante role in 2004's Punisher movie. Now, those were unauthorized universes created for YouTube, but with both Castlevania and Devil May Cry, it's a wonder how he might get both Konami and Capcom to play nicely in a potential crossover of their respective properties. Like, it's definitely not out of the question for Capcom, as we've seen countless fighting games with Capcom characters going up against Marvel superheroes, and we've seen them do the very same thing with a series of SNK Versus titles. I'm not sure if Konami will play nice with its property crossing over with the competition, but it might be mutually beneficial for both parties. But just how will Adi and company go about connecting both the Castlevania and Devil May Cry universes? Well, you may remember in Season 3 of Castlevania, it's established that Count Saint Germain has experience traveling through the Infinite Corridor. Now, in this series, the Infinite Corridor is an interdimensional realm that allows for travel through time and space, even opening portals to hell itself. Now, it could be assumed that the Infinite Corridor is the key to a potential shared universe in the future of each series. But only time will tell what comes of the Devil May Cry series, but curious to know your thoughts. Are you excited for Netflix's Devil May Cry anime? Now, what about a potential shared universe between both Devil May Cry and Castlevania shows? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments down below. Blumhouse is in full effect and pressing ahead with a reboot of Spawn apparently coming to theaters in 2025. Now, speaking with comicbook.com, Jason Blum gave fans of the Todd McFarlane creation an update by letting them know he's been enlisting A-list people to work on the upcoming film, growing the roster and ensuring fans that this won't be a cheap, low-budget production. Now, as for what these so-called A-list people are looking for in a rebooted Spawn movie, according to him, quote, "What they're not going to want is to do a cheap, low-budget movie with all of these big-name people on it. That's not why they're signing up. They're not looking for a big extravaganza, but they're also not looking for an $8 million horror movie budget." Now, Blumhouse is notoriously known for being able to pump out moderate box office hits on somewhat small budgets. Now, Universal Pictures' Megan, for example, made over $180 million on a $12 million budget. Now, the original plan for Blumhouse's Spawn reboot was to actually create a similar film done on a low budget, but with the addition of supposedly top talent that's since changed for Blumhouse. Now, the Spawn reboot has been gestating in the Hollywood belly for a while now, and Spawn creator Todd McFarlane has been talking about this project in some capacity since 1998, a year after Spawn's first movie hit theaters. Now, it was announced back in 2017 that Jason Blum was on board to reboot the anti-hero on the big screen. It's a bit of a boy who cried wolf situation with McFarlane's updates on the film. Now, Blum's involvement does seem promising though. Now, the last time we saw Spawn's draping red cape on screen was back in 1997. Now, the second movie was originally planned as a sequel, but gradually morphed into a reboot. McFarlane allegedly finished a draft of the screenplay in 2016 of the reboot, but that was apparently scrapped recently. The last year, it was announced that a team of writers had been hired whose credits include Joker and Captain America 4. Now, they were supposedly making great headway before the writer's strike took place. Now, the Spawn reboot apparently still has actor Jamie Foxx to star as the troubled and broken anti-hero. Now, with all the pushback seen for this film, Jason Blum remains confident that it'll hit its 2025 release date. But honestly, only time will tell if we can hold him to that. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's, another Blumhouse production, was also a long time coming for the studio, but looks like we're finally going to see that movie later this month.
EA Sports FC 24 launched on September 29th, and it's already facing some backlash. If you haven't been keeping track, EA Sports FC is EA's new football series going forward, since EA and FIFA ended their licensing agreement last year. Unfortunately, this newly rebranded series is already getting a red card from fans for its microtransactions, which manages to be the worst of all worlds: expensive, loot boxy, and also pay to win. Before EA Sports FC 24 was even properly launched, there was a $30 pack available for players to purchase. The pack includes 45 rare gold players rated 80 or higher, one of two-player pick lone base hero rated 87 or higher, one of two-player pick lone base hero rated 88 or higher. This means you have a chance to get players who are highly rated. You could end up getting lower 80 rated players or duplicates, so it's not even guaranteed, but if you're lucky, you could have a really strong squad. The Elite Season Opener Pack costs 285,000 Ultimate Team coins, which is the in-game currency you can earn. But obviously, it's a lot quicker to just buy it. Unfortunately, it costs 3,000 FC points, which is roughly about $30. So that's real money. But of course, the FC points aren't sold in nice, tidy denominations. So you have to buy either a 2,800 FC point pack plus two 100 point packs, or just shell out $40 and change for the 5,900 FC point pack, which is a lot of money. You can't trade the cards in this pack, which means there won't be reselling on the transfer market, but it also means that if you get a bunch of duplicates or crappy cards, you're stuck with them. Reddit user appearance_deficit said knew it was bad value, but figured I'd get something. 185 fodder and 26 duplicates, all below 83 rated. Put duplicates into gold upgrades and got nothing. Essentially got a poor 100,000 pack for 3 times the price. Another user @Z_ said obviously it's a good pack, but please seek therapy if you're buying this. First week of FIFA and you're dropping 30 pounds on an untradeable pack. EA Sports has already had some major criticisms of Ultimate Team and its link to gambling and its pay-to-win methods in competitive modes. But it obviously hasn't stopped EA from continuing that model by stating that players can earn these packs with real money or in-game currency. So basically, best case scenario, it's a pack that gives the buyer a really strong squad at the launch of the game, which isn't fair since they're paying to win. And worst case scenario, they get ripped off and are out an extra $30 to $40 on top of the 60 or 70 they already paid for the game. Okay, so listen, I understand that this is optional, but once you make loot boxes that aren't just cosmetics and actually weigh in on a player's favor to win games, that's definitely a problem. And yeah, I get it. Players can just not buy the packs, but mostly what I think of when I see this is just how greedy this feels. It's really not a great look, and especially with FC 24 being the first EA Sports FC title. I'd say that series is off to a rocky start. Then again, maybe EA just wants to remind players it's still FIFA in spirit by giving them something to be mad about. I'm Stella Chung, and that was your weekly fix. We'll be back here next Saturday with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news of the week. See you then.